Hello everyone, it's Amy from Seriously Sweet and Cookie Snack Attack. If you have noticed, I have not been able to use the countdown timers like normal because I have been for 2.5 weeks now getting consistently reported for using countdown timers that I'm licensed to use. So I have stopped using them. So the video will come on and I'm just going to give it a couple seconds while I get it shared to all the places that it needs to be. So please don't worry if you come on and you don't hear anything right away. Just hang with me for a second. I have somebody making a personalized timer so that I can then file a complaint back if they continue to harass me. So we'll see what happens, okay? We're going to finish up our watering can, but as a bonus for you guys tonight, I thought I would show you how I like to line my paint palette so that cleanup is faster and easier, whether I'm using regular paints, metallic paints, or poppy paints. You know, it just, so many things have so many different ways that you have to clean them up. So I just want to show you how I do that. I had a question from someone that bought one of the add-on classes after Cookie-a-thon, and they wanted to see how I actually did covered the wells so that they would hold liquid paint. This is very odd. I'm trying to make sure. This is why I like having a countdown timer, so that if I can't find something where it is, it gives me a couple of minutes to get everything to the proper spots. And you guys are just listening to some fun music, but the countdown timer issue and the false claims of not being licensed to use it have caused me an immeasurable amount of headache and an immeasurable amount of time to try to correct the Cookie Snack Attack Cookie Education System cards. After I get those edited, and when I put the video back up, it changes all of those hyperlinks that I gave you guys. So I have not posted any cards since the beginning of March because that's when I started using the countdown timer. So until that is all fixed, those cards won't be up, but I will be putting them all up. Don't worry, they're done. We just have to get all of those videos edited while I'm in the middle of fighting this dispute. Oh, and I must also say, please be really careful. Facebook is really, really cracking down on language used in the comments. So please be super careful because we have had 2 more alerts today. And why is this still not there? Hold on just a second. This is just so odd how this works, you guys. But they've cracked down on things that are just funny jokes when we're joking around with each other. Like, I don't have a problem with it. They're perfectly fine. I'm not the one creating the issue, but Facebook doesn't like some of the things that we're saying lately. So just be really careful when you're posting comments that you're not using, I don't know, anything that could be a trigger word for the software that's searching it, because we weren't even 2 minutes out of our video this morning and I had 1 strike, and then I got another claim filed for copyright on the countdown timer that's part of my streaming software that I pay for every month. So it's I definitely have the right to use it. It's definitely licensed, like everything's fine. But every single time I go live now, I have to file a counter complaint, basically. And then, as I told you yesterday, I got my page was locked. They locked my page for several hours because I was loading too many things and I set up too many new groups for our classes. So that's just all the tech stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and I'm not really sure why the crackdown is happening now. I'm just saying be careful because they can block you even if I don't, right? Like some of the stuff I would never even think would be an issue, and there's some words like the E item and the V item that we use when we do paints. Don't put it in the comments just know what I'm talking about. It's either the E or the V or the Everclear. I got a comment strike for using the E word today, that it went against Facebook standards. So just be careful on all the platforms that you're on, unless you, you know, want to cause a problem. And I hope you're not on here wanting to cause a problem. Okay, so the sticky side is down on my press and seal, okay? And I'm going to put some gloves on. Give me a second. Because what we're going to do might stain my hands even further. I've been doing some Easter cookies today, and I mixed everything up ahead of time, and so it's ready for tomorrow. But anyway, I push my fingers here and hold it in place, and then I'm pushing my press and seal back over, right? Like I can't put it on there tight because then it's not going to fill the wells. You won't have any space to put your liquid. So I work in this direction, and that's how I cover my paint palettes. And I am seeing comments. I just have a lot of stuff on my hands, so I don't want to reach over there and touch them, but I see everyone, and I'm so glad to see you. Thank you for coming back tonight. And I think I will be able to make it through this whole video tonight, I hope, with no problems. I did pretty good this morning, and then I did some therapy this afternoon, so hopefully I'll be okay. I can stay with you the whole time. All right, let's get this situated here. There's something weird about that. Okay, great. So that's how I like to line the paint palette, so that I can just unwrap it. Allison, you know what the E word is. When we mix up our dry powder paints, we either use E or the V or lemon extract. So you know what it is, and don't type it in the comments. I don't want to get another strike today and get my page locked. Like, I'm not really sure. There needs to be like a list of rules somewhere at this point, because it's really getting out of control. All right, so the first thing we're going to do tonight, guys, remember this morning I said we were going to go over the entire watering can, and I went ahead and removed the larger part of the textured parchment, and then I redid a little bit of the handled. So you can see how easy, when it's actually dry, these have been in the dehydrator, but when it's actually dry, it just pops right off and you still have that great texture, okay? And then I went back and just put this curved part, and I'm going to add a little bit more here, and then we're going to do some dry dusting. Actually, I think we'll just go straight to the dry dusting tonight, but at home, if you want this to really be curved, like the antique watering can that it's modeled after, just fill this in with a little bit more terracotta and pop some parchment on it before you start dry dusting. But I'm going to be using the rust. You can use whatever color you want to. We talked about that this morning in part 1, so you guys will have to go back and watch that. I can't repeat everything from part 1 right now, because that might cause me to be in this chair too long. And I don't want to have to end the video early if my neck starts messing up, okay? So that's why I'm pressing on. Literally press and seal and then pressing on. How funny is that? At least my sense of humor is still intact. So remember, we are modeling this after a watering can that I actually own that is copper. It's a really, really old French watering can that's copper. And then we're going to do our green to make it look like aged copper. So I'm just dusting the rust right on here. Are you guys laughing at what I just said? It's pretty funny, right? So we've given it that hammered look. I'm telling you what, I haven't been jokey the last, I don't know, 2.5, 3 weeks. I've been in so much pain, I can hardly remember what I'm doing, let alone come up with a good pun or something funny for you guys. I'm so glad I wasn't on the air last Tuesday, because I was in no shape to be around any human beings. My pups were so concerned. They just hung with me all day. But look at the difference of adding that little bit of sterling pearl to this and the rust, how it brings out all of that dimension from the textured parchment. And I love this look for using the textured parchment to create this look. So it looks like a hammered or a galvanized watering can, or the old copper ones. They all look like this. They all have that weird reflection look, right? That you can't quite figure out why there's so many different colors in galvanized metal. So just a little bit of dusting. This doesn't have to be a lot. And in fact, it really shouldn't be a lot. So I thought, since I have the colors here, just so you guys could see it, I would do the rust, which is what I want to have on it, right? The rust is what I felt like would bring out the best color on top of the terracotta. Well, Jen, we're going to see if you get a strike for using that B word. It might be a hot word right now. I don't know. So we'll see when the broadcast ends what that does, but it is getting a little wild and crazy. I can tell you that for sure. All right. Now, I don't know how comfortable you guys are going to be with doing this, but if you got one of my kits, the last couple of kits, we had this Needlepoint Scribe in it. So I'm going to show you something. If you carefully work this back and forth, you can put pinholes in your icing just a little bit. Probably can't even see it on camera, but it looks just like the pour spout. I'll lift it to see if you can see it. Or just go back and put some terracotta in a smaller, I thought about earlier, just so that I wouldn't disappoint you all. I thought about earlier going back and setting terracotta colored nonpareils as my dots down into the icing, but I was very worried I wouldn't be able to sit in my chair long enough to accomplish that. So I didn't do it, but you certainly could do that because we want to create that dimple. I think you can see that. I can see it on my screen, those little dots. So you can do that. All right, let me slide this out of the way for a second. Let me just show you another quick thing you can do if you happen to be blessed and own a set of the tweets markers or a fine point. Fine point marker, as long as it's a darker color. And you know what? I think I'm going to use the dark brown. I think I have a dark brown here. Let me look. No, I just have this one. I wonder what I did with my other. I can't even blame it on cleaning up because I could barely do anything in here for a week. So I have a very neat work area. But I'm just going to draw the little dots on for the pour spout with brown. I wonder if, let's just do this. This will make it faster for you guys. Yeah, let's do it in black. Yeah, that's fine. That looks good. But you could do this with little nonpareils. Just make it rounded so that it has that sphere look to it like an actual watering can would look. Do you see what I'm doing? Hopefully I'm keeping this where you can see it okay. Just that little bit of little extra detail is going to really make it pop like a watering can. Then I'm going to come in here and just really round this. And I'm rounding my dots and then pulling them up tight. Don't forget, you guys, today was the last day to get your rooms for the retreat. If you're local and you still want to go to the retreat, you can register through Friday. If you're not staying up there, it doesn't matter if you don't need the discount for the rooms. The retreat rate is posted on my website. You can get signed up for that. And if you need to pay, that link is already up there. See how cute that is? So it looks like the pour spout. Wouldn't that be cute if we had colored some white nonpareils, terracotta color, and then embedded them? That would have given us the nice dimension too. But this is pretty with the black. But if you want to attend the retreat, but you don't want to stay on Skyline and you don't have use of the room discount, you can still register for the retreat through Friday. I'll leave that up to you guys. But if you're going to do that, contact me through Messenger because I have to turn in final numbers for our meals for the retreat on Friday. If you need a few extra days to pay, that's fine. But I need to turn in numbers for our meal tickets. So we got to get that taken care of. All right. Now, let's see. Let's go back. We did the rust. Did we do rust? Yeah, we did rust. So let me show you what copper would look like if you want to add a little bit of copper, just so you can see it, how different the color is. It's called copper. You would think it would work because we're doing a copper watering can, but it's actually not the right color for what we want this to look like. I'm going to show you at the top of this one, just so you can see. It's nice and it's shimmery, but it's not copper colored like what we need for a watering can. Okay. Or for, I don't know what I just said, but I meant for a watering can. I'm gonna buff that in. It doesn't look bad. It just doesn't really, it doesn't add. I'm going to make mine both match. Okay. I'm going to make them both match. So I'm going to go ahead and buff some into the top here. I do really like the sparkle. The sparkle in the copper seems to show up more than the rust. Could be my imagination, but it does seem to show up more. But it's a really pretty color for other things. It just wasn't really right for this project. But since I have it here, I just thought I'd show you what it looks like on top of terracotta. And that way you guys won't have to do this experiment and waste a cookie or icing for this. All right, I've got it buffed in. We've got the bottom done. Now what we're going to do is go back and use our paint palette. And remember, I told you to have just a little bit of white icing because we're going to do this a little bit differently tonight. We're going to come back and we're going to texture over our texture. I hope that makes sense. Let me leave this brush where it'll get cleaned so that I don't accidentally use it on something that I shouldn't. And let's put the cookies here. Let's pull this paint palette in. I'll turn it around. We're going to put just a little bit of icing into these wells. It doesn't have to be a lot because we just want a texture on the texture. And it looks like this got really runny today. It got hot here today. So I'm going to make 3 wells because that first thing is just, I can see it's full of corn syrup. So we won't use that one. Hold on one second. Let's put a bad clip on the end of this. All right, now what we're going to do is put a little bit of our rose leaf. What did I do with it, guys? Put a little bit of this green, this mint green that's already mixed up. We'll put some of it in one of the wells. We're going to paint with icing tonight is basically what's about to happen, okay? Barbie's question, would you embed the nonpareils and then immediately add the wrinkled parchment? That is what I would do if I wanted that look. And I would get crazy enough about it that if it was for a competition piece or a sugar show piece or something like that, I would probably, I'm just being honest with you, I'd probably sit there and put those little nonpareils in with tweezers so they were literally perfectly placed. That's how ridiculous I would probably get about it. I'm not suggesting that you should. I'm just saying I know myself well enough to know that that is probably exactly what I would do. All right, let's go with a little bit of the dollar eucalyptus in this one. I'm just putting a little bit on that icing. And I'm technically not even suggesting that this is not how I do huge cookie projects, but for doing a video with you guys, this is perfectly fine. What I'm doing right now is going to work just fine for the texture and the vintage look I want to create, okay? So let me grab one of my Wilton paint brushes. Let's see if I've used so many of these today. I just want to make sure I have a clean one. Oh, let's use this one. This one looks good. Okay, so let's start with our light green first and just kind of mix it in that white icing. See if we can get to the color we want. Yep, that looks good. All right, let's do that first on both of our watering cans. Let me pull this down so you can see it. And I'm just going to work this in blotches because we're creating, do you guys remember this picture from earlier? Let me just show you in case you weren't here. We're creating this look, which is why we have the copper on the bottom. We're going for this finish look, okay? So our undercolor needs to be the copper color, and now we're adding our greens on top. So I'm literally just stipling this all over the watering can, okay? Hi, Nimrose, how are you? So I just want to get that first layer on top. So I'm going to do one, immediately go do the other, then we're going to come back with a slightly darker one. Now, if your icing is too thin, or you didn't give your watering can enough time to set up your textured can, really these need, the first stage of these, it needs to sit and dry overnight. So if you didn't give it quite enough time, then just stop. You can there's a couple of ways around it. You need to thicken up your icing. That's one thing that you can do, is thicken your icing and then start again. Or you can pop it in the, just stop and put it in the dehydrator for a little bit longer. So you see the difference in the two cans already? Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and do this one. We don't want to totally hide that undercolor. You're watching on YouTube and Facebook. That's so fun. Well, that's good in case they lock us down for whatever language. I'm just not sure the language that Cookie Ears uses that's so inappropriate compared to the other nonsense that gets directed to me every day. I think we're the tamest group of people on the planet, but perhaps I don't really know us and they know something about us that I don't know yet. So this is neat, right? You see this thin color. Oh, what I was going to let me finish that thought. You can go back and thicken up your green icing and then come back and do it again, but you don't want to do this with too thin of an icing, okay? But this is a great way to get both that underlying layer, like hammered metal, that's the first thing, and then to get that beautiful patina like it's actually aged copper, which I love. We have a lot of that where I live in Virginia. Allison, are you here? What are those things called? I'm at a loss right now. The things on the top, weather vanes. We have a lot of weather vanes on top of houses and barns here, and they're usually copper. And do you see that's already dry, you guys? Do you see? Because of the way we did that? Right? That's neat, right? All right, now let's go back and let's use the next shade of green. I'm using the same brush. I'm just moving from light to dark. Now, we don't want to coat the whole cookie with the next two colors. Okay, we coat the whole cookie with the first light color so we get that milky finish over our terracotta, which is meant to look copper, and we've got that sterling pearl already mixed in, so that's popping through. But now we want to spread out our greens. And don't forget, when you have a thick enough icing, you can go over where you made you can go over the water and can spout because it needs to look aged too, but you don't want to add so much water that you make that that ink run, okay? Hey, Mimi. So just be really careful, and you want to spread this out more on the cookie. And I'm specifically doing 2 cookies to give it enough time to dry because I'll be impatient with a technique like this, and then I'll go back and add a color before the other color has set up, and it just takes away from the design. So don't be Amy and just do 1 cookie and get impatient with it, okay? And do you see what's happening by using this technique and how that looks? Let me lift these, right? This has 2 colors of green on the right, 1 color on the left, but you see how different it looks already? Can you imagine the things that are already swirling in my brain that you guys are going to be doing with this coming up for spring and summer? I mean, you probably can't. My brain's a scary place, let's face it, but some of you might be able to read me well enough at this point that you know what's coming. I don't know. Let me get back up here to comments just in case there's questions, okay? Let's see. Oh, you guys like it good. Plead the 5th. Super tame. And Allison said, no, you guys are not super tame. That's funny. All right. So remember, don't coat the whole cookie with this green. And you see, again, because we have that pretty thick icing and we're just layering it, soft little layers as we go. And you don't need to do the end of the watering spout with more than 1 color. So when I do it like this, I usually do it with my medium green. The light green is too light and it's also too loose. It'll make your ink run, and the dark green covers up the black. So then there's really no point. Okay, so let's be here. Pull that leaf, that rose, what was it called? Rose leaf, elite color. Let's mix just a little bit of that in. And also, guys, you don't have to fully mix it in the icing. Just do enough for whatever project you're working on. But this saves you from, my point of showing you how to do this is that when you just want a feature cookie in your set and you want something a little extra special, but you don't want to mix up a whole bag of icing or dirty a bowl or dirty a spatula. And I know we're not lazy people. We're very hardworking people. But there's sometimes where you're in the middle of a set where you know, when you look at it, if I just added this one little splash, it's going to kick it up like 10 levels. My customer's going to be so happy, but it's midnight and you don't want to mix up another color. So I'm just showing you something that has worked for me. You don't have to do it. It's just something that I enjoy using, this technique. It works really well for me. And I'm hoping that all of these things just become ideas for you And then you start to play with them and use them on other projects. It's interesting to me because I follow a lot of you. It's interesting to see where these techniques show up on something like I would have never thought of, right? But I love the fact that you're using it as a springboard and then running with it. It's great to watch. Now, I needed to thin that a little because you saw how dark that was. That was just a little too dark. So I want a darker green than what's on there already. Again, be very careful not to coat the whole cookie. But this is your last time you're going to add color. So if you have too much terracotta showing through, too much copper, too much brown, if you decided to do the other water can that I showed you this morning, the non-copper one, the metal one that's kind of rusted, and so you did a brown undercolor, you don't want to color all that up. But again, if there's too much showing, this is your time. By the way, for those of you who haven't done the terracotta pot video we did a few weeks ago, I think, yeah, 2 weeks ago before I hurt myself, this is a fantastic way to make that patina on a terracotta pot, on a flower pot. But I wanted to save it specifically for this watering can because this watering can as part of the set was a great place to teach this particular technique because it looks like my watering can. So that's why I saved it. But at this point, if you want to go back and do your terracotta pots a little bit differently, this is what you would do. All right, so let's lift this and take a look. I just want you to see, look at all the variations of color and the fact that we have that hammered look and it really looks antique. Okay, I really wish I had thought that I could sit through the entire thing this morning. I really do wish that I had done the nonpareils. It would have been so cute. Now, the only other thing that I'm going to finish this one real quick while this is wet. Okay, and it's okay if your icing starts to get a little bit crusty too, because that just adds to the whole texture. Make sure you keep, when you're adding more, that you try to keep your greens roughly the same. And make sure on this one, don't forget, you don't want to coat the whole cookie. You don't want to coat the whole cookie, okay? Just get some spots on there. This is your third and final color. You don't need to coat everything, and you don't need to make a lot of texture with this last color. But don't do it too thin, because then that'll make all your colors run together and you won't get that nice patina. Now, I'm going to try something on one of the cookies so that if I don't like it, I don't have to photograph it. But I've been wanting to try this. You guys know I'm not usually an outline on top person, but I wanted to try this tonight to see if I like it or not. And I think there's a time and a place for all of the techniques in our toolbox. And I'm hoping this turns out the way I want. Of my watering cans, I like this one the least. So we're going to practice on it. All right. Oh, let's see. I think Facebook share on your feed if you swipe to the left other people's lives. I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm sorry. I can't answer that one. If someone else is on that can, you can definitely feel free to answer that. But I'm going to go back and outline on top all of my edges and just see if I like this little pop of the terracotta color. If I don't know, I may not like it. I usually don't outline on top because I don't care for it in most situations, but I think it might add something to this because it's going to separate the handles and the watering spout from the can. So it might add something. We'll see. Let's do it and then we'll see. We won't know till we try. And if I try, then you don't have to. Right? I think I don't like it though, guys. I really don't. I'm sorry. I can't leave it like this because I really don't like it. So hold on. Here's what we're going to do. We're just going to try to dab that off because I don't like it. I know I'm not going to like it. I usually don't like that look on a cookie. It doesn't really, in general, fit my artistic style, but adding that reinforcement of that copper color around the edge is pretty. I do like that. It gives it a little more dimension. So visually, it causes the separation I wanted, but I don't like it with just a flat outline. That's just me, though. I'm not saying it's not okay to do it. If you guys like it, do it. Just not my speed, okay? Now, can we just have a little bit more fun right now? I mean, because why not? I have it handy, and I've been playing with this for several weeks. I want to put I have two baggies here. I have the tiniest little bit of potting soil left from my gnome cookies, and I have a tiny little bit of edible moss. So I'm just going to go right down here on the bottom corners, maybe along the bottom, get this a little bit wet. We're going to put some potting soil on here. Okay. Let's put some potting soil on one, edible moss on the other, then you can see what it looks like. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a big outline person. Some people do it and it looks beautiful, but it just doesn't really fit with my style of cookieing, I guess, is, if I can say that, if I have a style now. I don't know if I have a firm enough style that people look at it and go, oh, that's an Amy cookie. I don't know if that's me yet or not. I'm sure one day I'll have something that's so locked in and set in my ways that you guys will, but I don't know if I'm there yet. So let's just put, oh, that's too big of a piece of the Oreo. So don't forget there's a free video up, and it's definitely on my YouTube channel from a while back, where you can do potting soil, beach sand, and edible moss. But this will make the cookies tie into my whole set better. Yeah, I feel the same way, Jen. I like some accent lines and some things like that, but I'm just not big on that. That look in general isn't, I guess it's because it's not really the style of cookies that I tend to make, right? I tend to do more mixed medium and really going for texture and dimension, highlights, playing with the light to get a cookie to look that. I like to use diamond dust to have some sparkle. I like candy, that's kind of the thing. So I don't know. I think there's a place for all of it, though, and there certainly are beautiful, talented cookiers out there that are using all of those things. So please, if I said that's not my style, don't be offended. It literally means just what I said. It's not my style. That doesn't mean I don't admire your style, because there are a lot of you that do it, and you do it. It's just amazing looking. Hey there. All right. So do you like it with a little bit of extra edible moss on it and the potting soil? Do you like that? I think you could even get away with that. Although texture-wise, for metal, it's not going to look right. But I think it would be pretty to do edible moss on your terracotta pot. And that, because that terracotta color is the exact same color as we use for the background of the watering can. So it's going to make your sets look really cool together. But this is what it looks like outdoors, I think. So I think good. I like it. If you guys haven't seen it yet, the Maddie Lane's boyfriend gnome, who I named Mason Lee so that it would match Maddie Lane and Mason Lee, that tutorial is up for sale on my website. So you can get that if you have it. And in about an hour, I will be 24 hours past where they locked my Facebook page. And then I'm going to upload everything for the 3D garden cart, which is a tulip cart, and you can fill it with little candies in the middle. I'm going to be uploading that tonight, but I am waiting the full 24 hours. Hopefully it's going to let me load, and it's quite a few files in there and quite a few smaller broken down videos. That was an add-on class that was for sale to coordinate with the cookie-a-thon piece. So I'll load that tonight, and then I'm going to wait, and either tomorrow I need to load the floral class so that you guys can see those cookies. I'll wait another 24 hours and load that class. And that way you guys can get that class purchased and we can get you in that Facebook group. But that class is not until next Saturday night. So you'll be fine. There's plenty of time. And if you have the kit, then you already know most of the supplies in there, right? And then I will go back and load the two-sided gnome house, which is really fun. The two-sided gnome house has a combination of techniques that are in the 3D garden cart and a combination of some of the techniques that we've been doing on Tutorial Tuesday. And then it's got some tips in there for you for baking a dimensional cookie. So I think you're really going to enjoy it. So we'll all over the next 3 days, all of those will go up, but I just can't risk losing my Facebook page and getting locked down again. So I hope you understand that I'm just loading a little bit each day, because I about had a heart attack yesterday when all of that went on and my page got locked for so long, and I had to prove it was mine. And then I had to dispute the ownership claim and dispute the countdown videos. It was really, It was really bad, but I'm sure something must be going on that's much worse than my little problem in my little corner of the world, for them to be cracking down on it. So I'll just try to be patient and work my way through it, right? We'll get there, guys. We'll get there. Okay, I think that's it for tonight. Does anybody have any questions? Hey, Cindy, you like the moss? Yeah, Roxanne, I think I try to really mix it up for you guys because I'm really, really trying to make sure that you learn techniques and have springboards so that you can go to the next thing, and use everything differently. But I'm not seeing any questions. I'm rolling back up. I don't see that I missed anybody's questions. So I think we're okay. Don't forget about the retreat. I think that's it. Any other questions, you guys? Anything? All right. And oh, you're very welcome. Camille, you might have a question. I don't know what iCAD means. So tell me. Out of the car and can see it now. Bobby, you were driving, right? I'm glad you weren't looking at your phone. Night, Holly. All right. I think we're good, guys. So I'm going to jump off and I'll start loading as soon as my 24-hour window is up, which will be shortly. Hey, Barbie, thank you for coming again tonight. Nimrose, I am actually feeling better. I just have to really watch that I don't stay too long in one place. But I want to be 100+ for the retreat, which is only a month away now. You guys realize that? In a month, we'll be on Skyline Drive at that nice resort, and we're going to be making cookies like rock stars. So excited. All right, I'll catch up with you guys probably tomorrow or the next day. Hopefully I'll be able to sit down and do another quick live or tutorial with you, okay? So I will see you soon. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for coming, and thank you as always for all the support. Appreciate it so much. Bye-bye.